Scooter heads, can I be Frunk with you? Can I be frank with you? You'll understand the Frunk reference if you listen to this entire episode. I'm a little bit lazy. This episode, while fascinating to me and hopefully to you, I just simply recorded the conversation and didn't edit anything. Usually what I do is I'll edit out burps, farts. People would say, like, too many times. I'm like, like, if you wanted to talk West Coast speak, simply add 2 words to your vocabulary, like and man. Like, I dig scooters, man. Or even the reverse, man, I dig scooters, like. But these 2 gentlemen that I interviewed for the podcast this time were already pretty well-spoken. I don't know if they're Generation X, Y, millennials. We didn't really discover that, and I didn't Google it. But they're in their mid-20s, and one had ridden a scooter like 15 years ago that went 3 miles an hour, and the other has ridden electric scooters a couple times over a year ago. And I wanted to do a before and after. So we did the interviews, and when I finished, I listened to them, and they sounded fine just the way they are. Like I said, I usually add compression. I'll delete a couple things, or if somebody says something a little bit off color or they make a mistake and they said something wrong, hey, can you go back and delete that part? But this is simply a free flow conversation between 3 men. So yeah, there's a little testosterone in the room. I didn't have a woman or a girl or a female of the species there to give their personal opinion or a take. But hey, we're all scooter heads, men, women, children, adults. It doesn't really matter. It's a generic conversation. So anyway, not to get off on too much of a rant, if I have any takeaways from this conversation, one of them is maybe that I talk too much. Normally, when I do an interview, and you've heard me do interviews with Chuck Temple, the founder of the Electric Scooter Guide, Paul Somerville, motorcycle racer and current scooter head on the ESG team, Timothy West, Zero to Epic. They are all well-spoken folks anyway to begin with and know what they're talking about. So it hasn't been much of an issue. So normally if I censure or cut anything out, it's something that I said. So that's why I started out this podcast by saying I'm a little bit lazy, but it's just because I can be lazy with this podcast. I thought it was interesting. What you're about to hear is part 1, and you do want to stick around for part 2, which will be next week. Part 1 is going to be discussions of different scooters before we get on the scooter. And as I always say, the Electric Scooter Podcast is about the electric scooter lifestyle. It's about scooter heads. So if the conversation wanders off topic, I just let it happen. In my first few episodes, I found myself kind of sticking to a script where the person I was interviewing would say something interesting, and instead of chasing down that rabbit hole, making that left turn and saying, yeah, let's pursue that, tell me more about that, I was going on to the next topic because that's what I had on my list. After listening to those first podcasts, which I still stand by them, they're good podcasts. If you haven't heard them, still go back and listen. But I promised myself, if there is a rabbit hole to chase, go for it. If you go off topic and you start talking about electric vehicles or what other people think of you as you're in a certain car or scooter, then just so be it. Just let it flow. And that's what I did on this podcast. But I do think that, maybe I got interested in hearing my own voice too much. The other aforementioned people, Paul and Chuck and Timothy and Zero to Epic, I tried to not speak as much, just ask the question and let them talk. Whereas this situation was a little bit different. It's a couple younger guys who did not have a lot of experience with scooters. So there's a lot of me filling in the blanks with this conversation. So I think that's a long enough of an intro. 6.5 minutes. Talk about liking and enjoying the sound of my own voice. Well, if you didn't believe it before, then that's proof. So let's get on with the interview. All right, we're in Las Vegas, Nevada. Say hey now.
Hey now.
Say check.
Check.
You're from Czechoslovakia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's why I wanted you to say check. All right, so I previously did a podcast from Miramar, California, where I had a person who is an adventure and thrill seeker ride a scooter for the first time, and we rode around a scenic lake in San Diego. It was just simply beautiful. The weather was perfect. This is similar, but a little bit different. I have a couple of folks here who are in their mid-20s. I don't know, is that millennial or X or what is that?
I think I'm millennial. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure.
Whatever you are, it's both the same. Because you're approximate ages. And these are folks who do not ride scooters, and it's other than idyllic situations, as opposed to Miramar, it's 116 degrees in Las Vegas, Nevada. And hey, that's when they chose that's when they had free time to come out and do this little experiment. So this part of the interview is me asking what they know about scooters or what they think of scooters. Have they ever ridden them? And what we're going to do is post intro, we are going to, is that the outro? No. We're going to go grab a couple scooters, and not just any scooters. We got 2 Wolf Warriors, and we have an Apollo Explorer, and we have a Go Trax, and we have a Fluid Freeride Horizon, which is a copy of the 08, pretty much. And again, we're on location. You might hear cars drive by. You might hear somebody shuffling by or moving papers around. But again, the ambient noise adds to the ambiance. So if you're an English major, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I'm not an English major. I know what you're talking about.
You still know what I'm talking about? Okay, so I'd like to introduce Cody.
Hello, hello.
And Damien.
Hello.
So let's start with Damien. Mm-hmm. Have you ever ridden an electric scooter before?
I don't think so. Maybe like 15 years ago, like a little Razor one.
So it's back then, it probably wasn't electric though, right?
I vaguely remember them having one, but it was probably nothing like they are now. You know what I mean?
I read an article, The History of Electric Scooters, which it's hard to find any information. And there was like the turn of the century. There's a picture of a lady with one of those long dresses with a bustle and one of those big old floppy hats and everything. And she's like on a dirt road, which is downtown Manhattan, New York City or something, right? And she's standing on this contraption that was technically, by the book, an electric scooter. That's strange. But 15 years ago, so you don't remember if it was electric or not?
I feel like it was, but it was something where it would go like 3 miles an hour and the charge would last 5 minutes.
It's the electric scooter. Podcast. From Las Vegas, where it's hot. The Electric Scooter Podcast. So, being a non-scooter head, what is your impression of electric scooters? I know the rental scooters in big cities like Portland and Seattle and across the country have left a sour taste in people's mouths. People just have different impressions of people who ride scooters. We call them, on the podcast, we call them scooter heads, by the way, people who are into scooters. What is your just impression in general?
I don't know. They seem cool to me. I mean, I always wanted like one of the gas-powered ones back in the day. I never had one, but I could imagine owning something.
Like throw a lawnmower engine on a skateboard
exactly.
and put a handle or something
Yeah.
on it. I got a buddy who did exactly that, who has one of those right around the corner.
Worked?
Oh yeah, it works, and it goes like really fast. You put just like a lawnmower. You pull the string, and it fires up.
Yeah. So they seem like fun. I mean, for sure, I'd have one.
Oh, you'd be willing to? Well, I'm kind of forcing you to ride today in 116-degree weather, but it's something you're looking forward to, or?
Yeah, I'd imagine it would be fun. I don't see why I wouldn't.
Yeah, the thing is, even when it's hot, the breeze generated by being on the scooter and the fact that you're standing up, even on a motorcycle, sometimes you have a little windshield, and I have a sport bike and I have a large cruiser, but you're sitting, so the folds of your belly still gather sweat. Ooh, how's that for a visual? But standing up, your body is taking the whole brunt of the wind. Now, Cody, which is a good thing, by the way. So it's only when you come to a stop. You're cruising, you're getting the breeze, and if you stop, like at a traffic light or something, then you're just baking all of a sudden. So, Cody, you have ridden scooters a little bit.
I have, and also I didn't think about it. I actually did have one of those electric Razor scooters probably 15 years ago that my dad bought me. I think it went 15 miles per hour. But yeah, the charge, I mean, the technology wasn't like it was now. Since I've, rode your scooters, it's totally different. I forgot that I even had one of those. But I remember, before people used to be jealous of the people or envious, the people with the gas.
Oh,
like
really?
Danny was saying, people, that was kind of the thing, was the gas motor. And like, I don't know if people knew for sure if it was legal. And
so the people with the gas engine scooters were jealous of the electric scooters?
No,
or
the other way around.
Oh, the other way around.
But yeah, the gas was the kind of the cool thing.
Ah. Well, I mean,
maybe just because it was faster.
Yeah, it makes noise.
Yeah.
It sounds cool. Yeah, you can really get some speed on those gas-powered ones. So how did you guys get to Las Vegas? I mean, what mode of transportation did you use to get here?
In my personal vehicle. So I have a 2021 Tesla Model 3, just the base model.
Ooh, bougie. Drives a Tesla. So that is like a scooter. I mean, it's an electric vehicle, right?
Electric, yeah.
Do you feel by driving a Tesla that you're contributing or not destroying the environment quite as much as other people around you?
No, I don't think that at all. I don't think about the environment impact by owning a Tesla, but I mean, it would be nice to have less smog in the air that you're currently breathing, but I don't know which one is in the long run, better for the environment. That's not why I got it. I don't like a lot of noise, like in general. Beeping sounds kind of bother me, but I like the aspect that it's quiet. I like that when I go out to my car, it's fully charged. So like people always say, with a gas car, they go, oh, you could fill it up anywhere. But I'm like, yeah, but you always have to go somewhere else to fill it up. Whereas when I come out of my house, it's always full. So
because as you're sleeping, it's literally being charged.
I mean, yeah, if you're going a long distance, obviously the technology is getting better, but it's still not there completely with the Tesla. And I noticed they say you get a certain range with the Tesla, but coming up here in the heat, I mean, I was blasting the air conditioning, and that range is not close. The advertised range is not.
I've heard that cold is even worse than heat for those batteries.
Well, it depends on, I guess, your definition of hot and cold. I mean, I'm sure maybe -30 is worse than
yeah,
90. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I've heard. People who live in cold climates
Yeah.
kind of have issues with
But I don't know
Tesla.
how much cold, And with the 2021 Teslas, they have the hot water heater in them for that. But, I mean, I don't need that, living in Southern
They
California.
have a hot water heater?
Yeah.
Is it
So
like
the
a thermos
Frunk is-
looking, one of those red...
It's underneath the Frunk, and my Frunk is smaller.
Watch your language. This is a family podcast.
My Frunk is smaller because of the hot water heater.
It's interesting that you mentioned the sound and not liking beeps and that, because one thing I did not know, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit, and it was maybe magnified because you backed into my garage and it sounded like a spaceship.
Well, that's the only sound. I mean, how often are you going backwards?
I mean, it really does. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like...
I would describe it as a whirling sound.
Yeah. Like I just walked into a nuclear power plant or something.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Does it make any other... so that was because you were backing up?
Oh, yeah,
I thought
that's
it was just
only
the
backing
engine
up.
running.
Sometimes that sound doesn't go off. I mean, if I don't know if my car's been sitting for a while. So that sound is not because I'm backing up. Like, that sound is played while... I don't know how to explain it. I've had it malfunction where I've backed up and it doesn't make that sound.
Oh.
So I think that's a safety feature. I don't think it makes that sound because I'm backing
Oh, it's
up.
not the engine humming or anything.
No.
It's like artificially
I mean, it could
produced.
be.
from
I've never looked it up, but it seems like, it's artificially produced.
I think
I think it's a safety feature.
It's a safety thing because I remember being in somebody's Prius and it did that,
Really?
which is funny. It's like this
But it
tiny
could be a
little-
regenerative braking. I mean, I don't know.
Do,
I shouldn't speak on a subject that I'm not familiar with.
no, it's fine. That's what we do here. And in fact, I love that you mentioned you're not in it to save the environment, because literally everyone I interview is really focused on saving the environment. And because scooters, electric vehicles, PEVs, micromobiles, as Zero to Epic calls them, they do produce less greenhouse gases. And, there was the study from Berkeley, California, a Toyota Corolla on $20 of fuel can make it to Reno, Nevada. A Tesla can make it to Salt Lake City, and an electric scooter can make it to Dubai in the Middle East. All of those equally on $20. So that tells me it's got to be better for the environment. But I ride scooters solely for fun. Yeah. The saving the environment, it's just a byproduct.
Well, I might have misspoke. I actually would buy a vehicle and would kind of wish that people would buy vehicles that are better for the environment.
The Electric Scooter Podcast. The only podcast scientifically proven to make you smarter, better looking, a better dancer, and extremely attractive. Don't argue with science. Getting back to scooters a little bit, micromobiles, PEVs as they're known, electric scooters, e-scoots, whatever. There is a parallel between your Tesla and some of the new vehicles that come out. Ford has an F-150.
That thing looks
The
awesome.
Lightning. Yeah. They have a new one that's not electric, too. Have you seen that? The Maverick?
No, it's hybrid.
Hybrid.
So Ford came out with the Lightning. I think it's going to start maybe 50,000, and it looks awesome. I kind of think it looks maybe better than the Cybertruck. It's going to be pretty
I'm
close.
happy to hear you say that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I mean, not only looks-wise. I mean, just when I say looks better, I mean functionality. Their Frunk is huge. You could fit 2 golf bags in it.
Wow.
And it has like spotlights built in.
Or 2 cadavers. Or
2 cadavers.
Yeah, whatever.
Similar size objects.
Rolled up carpet.
But the Maverick is...
It's a mini truck.
Yeah, and it's going to start at 20,000, and it's advertised as going to get better fuel than a Honda Civic.
40 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
They're saying they're trying to beat the Honda Civic in a truck And it's the first truck ever to come standard hybrid.
Wow.
First truck ever.
And I love mini trucks. I have complained for so many years. I'm not going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm not getting rid of my Pro 4X, which is more designed for off-road. I'm not going to get rid of that. But had they come out with this years ago, I've always said I love the mini truck era, when they low-rided them, when they made them cool. Yeah. I guess they're calling them mid-size trucks now, but what were called small-size trucks now, like the Toyota Tacoma and the Nissan Frontier, they're the size of F-150s like 10, 15 years ago.
I still think, the only trucks I put in like a small category is, what is it, the Colorado?
Yes.
Chevy Colorado.
GMC Canyon.
Yeah, and the Nissan Frontier, but I don't think of a Tacoma as a small truck at all. To me,
no, I don't even think of the Frontier. I think it's large and kind of luxurious. It's just not a massive, they're building these the Rams and the Fords have that massive front end, like they're trying to look like an 18-wheeler or something. They're just trying to intimidate people as they go down the road. I don't know. I like the mini trucks with good gas mileage. So let's swing it back to Damien here for a second, getting back to scooters. Do you have any trepidation? We'll start you out, on one of the smaller scooters. I don't know if maybe we'll go as low as the Go Tracks. It's as wide as a small skateboard, and it goes 12 miles an hour or something like that. I don't know if you'd be insulted to jump on that first. Or we could go to the Horizon, which is easy to handle. It's fairly solid, pretty reasonably priced, about $750. And then there's the Apollo Explorer, which has a really wide deck on it. It's very luxurious, I would say, and comfortable. And that one will get up to, I don't know, geez, I should know this stuff, right? This is why I say we do the scooter lifestyle and not necessarily all the facts and everything, because if you really want the facts, go to the Electric Scooter Guide. Go to their webpage. They have spreadsheets. They have how many miles per hour each scooter will go, how much they weigh, and all that stuff. So I would just say that the Apollo Explorer is a mid-level scooter you can use for commuting, but it has 10-inch wheels, so you can have fun on it too. I would guess that goes maybe 30, 32 miles per hour. Again, I don't study it or research the specs or even read the manual. I just get on them and go. How do you feel you like to do? Or, the top of the pack, obviously, is the Wolf. I should say it. Wolf Warrior. Do you have the cojones to jump, the testicular fortitude to jump on a Wolf Warrior and just take off, or you want to start small and gradually?
I would do the big boy, half throttle at first, or the mid-level one.
Yeah, so maybe the Apollo.
Crack my head open.
Well, you're going to have a helmet, believe me.
Yeah, but
I always repeat this. Paul Somerville, when I interviewed him, Paul Somerville, motorcycle racer who's on the team for the Electric Scooter Guide, he says he always wears a full face helmet because the front of his face happens to be the favorite part of his head.
Makes sense.
Got the eyeballs, got the nose, teeth. It's good to have teeth when you're eating stuff.
Yeah.
So full face. I might not put you in a full face because it's 116 degrees, but we got mountain bike helmets. We have motorcycle helmets. We have a lot for you to choose. But the bigger scooter doesn't mean you're more likely to crash.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to go 40. I don't want to go 40 to start. You know what I mean? It's
your hand. It's just like a car. You can measure how fast you want to go. You're not going to go to 40 immediately. You'll start at 0, and then you get maybe 10, and then 15, and then 20, and if you slow down somewhere before 40, you won't hit 40.
Yeah, exactly.
So the power is in your hands. But so you're willing though to start off with you want to start off with the Apollo Explorer, the kind of mid.
Yeah, I'd prefer that.
Okay, and then maybe the Wolf Warrior. Cody, what scooters have you ridden in the past? Because I know you've ridden a couple of my scooters, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had, like I said, maybe 15 years ago, I had that electric Razor scooter for a while. And then I rode...
You could use an electric Razor right now, by the way.
I rode whatever scooters you had.
So could you, David.
So that was right before COVID. Whatever scooters you had at that time, I rode. And I rode your electric bicycle.
The Horizon, yeah. And then you rode the electric bike, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Okay, so I'll ask you the same question that I asked Damien. How would you like to start? Would you like to start with one of the scooters that you've ridden previously? Or are you ready to... You want to do the Apollo Explorer?
I think I have the testicular fortitude.
You do? Woo!
I mean, we'll see, I guess. I don't know.
Big, bold, and brassy. You're going right to the wolf.
I mean, I don't mind doing that.
What,
I would try it.
What Damien said is actually a good point. I mean, I was joking with him, but there is something in most scooters called P settings. It stands for program settings. And you can go into the program settings. You can lower the torque. Yeah. You can lower the maximum miles per hour and all that. And they're also dual motor. The Wolf Warrior is dual motor. So if you start out in dual motor, yeah, the torque is massive. People joke. They say it's going to rip your arms out of the socket. It's not going to do that, but you are going to be surprised, even shocked, because you're just going to bolt forward. But if you have it in a lower power setting, you have your torque settings, which I turned them down a little bit because I don't like jumping on a scooter and going, whoa, the first thing, which if you've seen some of my videos actually happened to me because I try to start in single motor, but once I get going, I'm always dual motor. So if I don't remember to put it back in single motor before I shut it down, when I turn it back on, it's in dual motor again. And fortunately or unfortunately, there's no way to tell. The Wolf Warrior used to have two buttons side by side, and they were hokey looking. They looked like something off of Apollo 16 or, somebody from the past trying to draw out what the future will look like. They were these big square painted buttons, and they tried to make them more slick, so they made them neat looking and covered them in this kind of rubber, and they look better. But now you have no idea of knowing whether you're, other than your body feel, that you're in dual motor or single motor. With the old, quote unquote, shabby looking ones, you could just see that button is depressed. So I'm in single motor or sticking out single dual motor, whatever it was. You could tell immediately by looking at it. So their upgrade made it look better, but perform worse, I think, from a scooter rider's
that's really weird that you can't tell. I mean,
or how about this? Yeah, you think you'd have on your LCD, you would think that, or LED, whatever it is, your dash, that a little red or blue light would come up or saying, hey, you're in dual motor or something like that. So scooter manufacturers, listen up, incorporate that kind of stuff. It's kind of important. And I have the cruise control turned off, hopefully, I think on all of them now. Cruise control on a scooter is something interesting too, because you're coming up on a rock or a sharp corner and you want to slow down or something, and you get off of the throttle and you just keep going because your cruise control clicked on. When you maintain a certain speed for a certain length of time, it says, oh, the rider wants to stay at this speed, and it continues at that speed. And you know how to turn the cruise control off on some of these scooters?
What is that?
You have to hit the throttle, not the brake.
Weird.
Wouldn't it be the brake? I mean, in a car,
it's the brake.
Yeah, in a car, it's the brake. But some of these scooters, you have to actually, when you're trying to slow down to pitch yourself into a corner, you actually have to hit the throttle. And
so if you hit the brake, it'll still be on cruise control? It'll still be throttling? Or
on some models.
So weird.
But generally, though, yeah. That's... and it's not on my scooters, but Zero to Epic, he crossed the United States on scooters, and he told me on a couple of his scooters that's the way it was. And I was like, whoa, that is nuts. All right, so before we actually jump on the scooters in the 116-degree heat, any comments, anything you're looking forward to or worried about or hey, I don't even want to do this, but you're just making me do it.
Well, one thing with the Wolf Warrior is it does look, it makes me a little bit hesitant, is it's kind of high off the ground.
Yeah, which is good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of comparing it like a sport bike to like a Harley or something, where you're sitting up high. On a Harley, at least you're down low, so you feel like lower center of gravity.
Yeah. That's very true. You have to have good balance, but at the same time, for going up and down curbs, or like I like to go off road. I have 2 Wolf Warriors. One of them has knobby tires and one has street tires. And when you are going off road, of course, just like a 4-wheel drive vehicle, what's the difference between non-4-wheel drive? One of the big things is ground clearance. So it's very helpful in that aspect. But I would warn you this. This is the first thing I would say. Okay, let me tell you 2 things. Let's just put this out before we get on the scooter. So we might as well let scooter heads hear this as well. When you're riding a scooter, it's not like a motorcycle. Always keep 2 hands on the handlebars. Never take one off to wave or, hey, I'm turning this way or this or that. Or, sometimes drivers, they wave at you or they let you know, hey, I see you. You just have to nod back because the dynamics, I don't know how to explain the axis, the fulcrum, and all that kind of stuff. Just the way scooters are built, because of the handlebar being almost straight up and down, you cannot let go of your handlebars when you're riding. And the other thing I would say for first time riding a scooter, especially a high-powered, the class of vehicle that the Wolf Warrior is commonly called Beast. They're Beast scooters. Only use your rear brake, especially at low speeds, because if you're making a tight little circle, which I like to do, I don't just like going fast and climbing mountains and stuff like that. I like going really slow and trying to stay balanced and practicing my balance. If you hit your front brake while you're doing that, you're going down. Which on a motorcycle is bad news, but on a scooter, you're standing up, so you just step your feet off and onto the ground. It's not like it's going to pitch you head first or anything. But just keep in mind when we're at low speeds and making turns and stuff. And I would say just in general, just use your back brake. Don't even use the front brake. Any other questions? Worries, concerns, thoughts?
I'm good. I'm ready.
Let's get after it.
Let's get her done. What was that expression? Was that the expression? Get her done.
I mean, that's from something.
It is. It is.
I've heard you say
it
that
is
a lot,
something.
Let's
get after it.
Jeff Foxworthy or
I don't know. Yeah, one of those like on the redneck comedy tour or something.
It's
Larry.
Yeah.
It's Larry the Cable Guy.
Okay, so
it is Larry the
does he say "get her done" or is it just
he does.
something?
That's what he says.
Get her done.
Well, I got a little embarrassed at how lazy I am, so I decided to look up who are baby boomers, who are Gen Xers, who are millennials. And the thing is, you got to look at it as a generation, not really by their age, but kind of loosely by birth year, not their current age. So here's what it looks like. And that makes sense if you think about it. Baby boomers are folks born between 46 and 64. So, late 50s to mid 70s. Gen X are folks who were born between 65 and 1980. So they're 40s and 50s. Gen Y were born between 81 and 95. So those are folks that are between 25 and 40. So Cody and Damien are probably Gen Y, whereas Gen Z is the newest generation. They're between 6 and 24 years old, so they're between Y and Z. I would say they're Gen Y. But if you're interested to know what their opinions were after riding scooters in 116-degree heat of Las Vegas, you won't want to miss the next episode. Be there. Find out. Are they now scooter heads? Are they budding scooter heads? Are they prospective scooter heads? Are they thinking about buying a scooter? Was it a magical experience or was it
You know, when we went down to San Diego and tried that experiment on a baby boomer, he was a little bit more on the enthusiastic side of, not gonna run out and buy one, but will ride one when he gets the chance. So stay tuned, and until the next episode, keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down.